Over the last 2.5 years, we've obviously rapidly expanded HuffPost. We've gone into 11 markets, and the latest being Korea, where we launched just 3 weeks ago. We've gone from having a domestic US business with shy of 50 million UVs on a monthly basis to now 92 million UVs on a monthly basis globally. 44% of our business is now an international business. So yes, we've been very aggressive internationally. Right now we're in negotiation in India. We've been in it for quite some time. We haven't concluded those negotiations, but that's a market that we want to launch this year. So another big one. And then our founder is from Greece, so we've also promised that we will make a tour to Greece and launch a HuffPost Greece probably sometimes this year as well. Then we're also looking at the Middle East, and we're looking at China, how HuffPost would look in China. And then Mexico is the last of the big markets that we had on our original plan. We had a plan of 15 markets we wanted to be in.
In a market like India, even many of the established news brands in Europe, like The Guardian and the Daily Mail, are thinking of launching or already have launched online websites in India. How do you feel about going up against them? Because usually the template for Huffington Post to roll out internationally is in partnership with a newspaper publisher.
No, that's true. We, a lot of people have already gone into India, but at the same time, India is still in the early cycles, in the early developments digitally, both in terms of online advertising and in terms of online audience. So I think it's a huge market with more than 1 billion people, right? I think 250 million now is actually online. So yes, there's a lot of people in that market, but I think actually looking at that market, I think the UK market is more competitive when it comes to news than actually India is, and I think over time the potential in India is obviously huge with the scale of the market.
What challenges does a launch in China present? Many Western companies have tried.
No, China is obviously a difficult one because obviously we look at HuffPost as a platform, not just a news site. We look at it as a place where we deliver news, but also where we start conversations and we invite people in to comment, to blog, to do things. And of course, in China, that's not necessarily what the regime prefers to do. So obviously, we need to figure out whether, first of all, are we going into China with the full model? If not, what part of the model should we launch in China, and would that even work for us? Would that be true to what we are as a brand? But again, China is obviously a huge market and a very interesting one, and we do want to be part of the development that is going on in that market. So we hope to find a way to kind of launch in China in a good way.
Thinking about advertising, native advertising is a format that's gathering a lot of attention at the moment, and AOL is rolling out that format to its clients. It was pioneered within AOL on Huffington Post. So what can Huffington Post tell AOL about best practice that has been learned from selling native ads?
No, you're right. Native is something that is very close to the core of what HuffPost is all about. It's about narratives, it's about storytelling, and of course that's what the HuffPost platform is doing on a daily basis. So we have, as you said, pioneered that over the last year. We've done a lot of big native programs with a lot of different advertisers, and also what we found is that as you're moving outside of the right-hand rail, of the commercial units and actually into the content space, it's a very different approach. So as an advertiser, you need to approach it differently. You need different people in your organization, and a lot of the advertisers at this point in time didn't necessarily have the right setup for that. So what we did at HuffPost was, in order to facilitate that, we launched HuffPost Partner Studio, which is basically a combination of people we moved over from the editorial side to work with our advertisers, and strategic people that are helping the advertisers then think about what are the things that they should try to own in this space? What are the stories they should tell? How can they be relevant? And how can they then combine that with the commercial units that are on the side? So one of the things we also realized was that native is great, but it's not that commercial units are not working. Actually, what we saw is that when we do native solutions and when we add the different commercial units, if the same advertiser are buying some of those, the uplift on awareness and the overall solution was actually higher than if we just ran a native solution. So I think the setup is important, and then also how you combine the different commercial assets on the side when you run the native solution.
So you get to try to sell an advertiser a big project level ad as well as a native ad.
That's exactly right, and even over time, I think also video will play in to that as well. But again, then you're not just going to be able to take your 30-second ad and put in that video unit, right? Then you need to create again something distinct. So I think, but that's where things are going on the premium side. I think if you want advertisers to pay premium money and not everything to go into programmatic, then I think those are the kind of solutions that you need. You need to be able to offer something on top of kind of what we're seeing today.
Yeah, at the same time as the rise in native or very qualitative based advertising, soft advertising if you like, you have the rise of this data-driven scientific programmatic advertising. How does Huffington Post see that?
No, I think in general for me it's a combination. I think it's something that it's a huge tide that we can't stop. It's there and it's happening, and I think if it leads to better sell-through rates on our standard units, then it's a great thing. But at the same time, obviously, we are interested in getting the best possible CPM across the inventory we have on our site, and which is also why it's important to balance it out. I think for us it's important to have both the programmatic and the premium, and obviously that's why we invest a lot in native and content programs and in social impact programs and things that are content driven, because I do believe that advertisers today need to reconnect with an audience, and I think storytelling narratives are going to be important in that perspective, and that's kind of what we can help bring. I think in many ways I see a lot of the learnings that we've had over the last 8-9 years is applying to advertisers today, and I think I coined it the brands as newsroom. I think brands need more and more to think about how can they be out there, have an always-on approach, have relevant stories all the time. It's not just a one-off things. It's kind of an always-on approach, and I think that's where it becomes really interesting. And obviously, that's what we have to do day in, day out as a news organization.